My name is Christian Basil. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the legend of the Traveling Tardis. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend. And hello, fellow Whovians. This is Christian Basil. Welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. If this is your first time joining us, we want to welcome a bunch of people who have subscribed to our YouTube channel as well as liked us on our Facebook page from our friends at Tampa Bay Comic-Con, which we, Melanie, Nisha, and I, were there this weekend there. Nisha looks busy. We want to welcome you to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, and thank you for joining us over here. We're going to be discussing the big elephant in the room that everybody's been talking about all this week and for days to come. That's right. To bring up the article, and I'll read this for you, just in case you've been under a rock, and where have you been?
Unhide yourself.
What's that?
I said unhide yourself, people. We're pulling you out from under the rock. It's not a spoiler.
It's no longer a rumor. It is completely true. There is. It's been official. It's been made official by the BBC itself. Let me go ahead and bring up the article. Oh yeah, from our friends over at SCIFI.RADIO, where you can actually also listen to us every weekend on their station live. They also have an app you can download for free. Check it out there. But it is official. Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall will be leaving Doctor Who autumn 2020. I'll just read a portion 22. Of the article.
Autumn
22. Sorry, 22. Yeah. Let's get the.
Like,
I told you I'm still tired from this weekend. It's been a long day. Jodie Whittaker, the first woman to play the Doctor, along with showrunner Chris Chibnall, are leaving the show in autumn of 2022. Whittaker will star in a 6-part series later this year and 3 specials next year. Before she exits, the series will be a first since the show's return to television in 2005. In the 6 episodes, we'll tell one story. And if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be one long story. The last time we've done that is with Trial of the Time Lord with Colin Baker, the War Games with Patrick Troughton, and the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker, who did The Key to Time. In a statement, Whittaker paid tribute to Chibnall and the Doctor Who team, adding, "I will carry the Doctor and the lessons I've learned forever. In 2017, I opened my glorious gift box of size 13 shoes." Whittaker said, "I could not have guessed the brilliant adventure, worlds, and wonders I was to see in them. My heart is so full of love for this show, for the team who make it, for the fans who watch it, and for what it has brought to my life." So, yeah, don't know what to say at this moment out there.
Well, Jerry Knowles on Facebook says, "I was under a rock. Good to know."
Okay.
I mean, honestly, there was a lot of stuff kind of coming out, and even then, when I first heard this, I thought it was another rumor because it's just been one rumor after the other. Oh, this has happened. And I'm like, okay, fine. Until like on our Facebook group, I believe it was Kevo that you actually posted it, and it was the wait. What? And it was from the BBC, and I'm like, okay, or the official Doctor Who page. So then it went from, oh, it's not a rumor, it's actually fact.
I gotcha. Let me go ahead and introduce the team for those of you just joining us for the first time. You may not be familiar with our team there. I'll start off with the lovely Nisha Mulchin of Diversely Geek. How you doing there, Nisha?
Hey,
one of our participants and booth watcher. Everybody drive people nuts, and somebody addressed me when I was working booths and helping out people, the booth babe. So you were one of our booth babes. How you doing? How was Tampa Bay Comic-Con for you?
It was good. I thought strange. I mean, I didn't have a booth. I had my panels. Was with you guys. Was with you on your panels, and I was actually really tired when I left, and I didn't do anything near what I normally would have. Isn't that crazy?
We had the area, and I always loved that area that they gave us, which was right next to the window outside. It said,
nice.
It is gorgeous. That's where kind of the press area was. Unfortunately, Hanging with Web Show wasn't there this year, but we got to have that whole area to ourselves. And I got to have a little peaceful time to me. We had 3 panels for weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they're pretty good. And I felt bad for everybody because this is for you, Croy, just for you. Croy had scheduled an 8:30 panel on Saturday night, and everybody else was like butt tired, and I felt bad, and everybody was looking at me like, "Are you going to be angry if we don't go?" And said, "No, I'll do this one." And I had a wonderful time. I think it started off with like 10 people, and then it ended up being like 40 people. But some of them, I'm hoping they're watching today. Want to welcome Faith Kelly. Oh, Christopher, how you doing? That's actually one of my alumni from my alma mater, Colonial High School. How you doing there, Kyle? Oh, and Faith Kelly was probably a little overwhelming. I feel ill. Oh.
I feel a little tired after MegaCon.
After MegaCon. We're going to be completely wiped out by MegaCon. And Christopher Chatfield, the Traveling Tardis. Yes, a great group with great taste. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, I must watch. And I want to welcome everybody from also on our YouTube channel. And hello, Doris Jones Labors of Love. Hello, all. And then there's also Keisha who just stepped in there. We want to welcome everybody. Don't forget, you can chat with us. And if you have any questions or want to, talk about what's going on today, don't forget, you can chat with us, whether you're on the YouTube channel, the Twitch channel, Facebook page. And please don't forget to subscribe.
And I have 2 queued up for when the conversation really starts going. So there
you go. Hello, Keisha. Let's continue our introductions. Melanie, who was also at Tampa Bay Comic-Con.
Yes.
I really hope the doctors do not see what's on your wall today.
Oh, I had a lot of stuff going on this weekend, and maybe some stuff got sold. You never know.
You know how they get jelly out there.
Well, darn, I don't just paint doctors. So
they go after a verbal
my shameless self-promotion of my Chuck painting and my Deadpool painting. So, yeah. So anyway, busy weekend. It was a great convention. Right now we've got convention on top of a convention on top of convention. I think at least for me, not this weekend, but the weekend after, we're going to be going to MegaCon. So this weekend was also Raleigh. So, oh no,
what
have I done? Oh darn, guys.
The boyos are here and boyas.
We noticed.
So, yeah, I think they noticed. Darn it. Sorry, guys. I love you. So anyway, long weekend. Speaking about Saturday, I got there at 8 a.m. because the show got opened up at 9 for both Saturday and Sunday, and the panel was like 8:30 p.m. and the expo hall closed at 7, and I was just like, I'm dead. I'm tired. I gotta go home. I gotta print stuff. I got a commission. I gotta finish.
And all of you, I'm assuming, have been to conventions, but it was like a 12-hour grind. Because we had to get there early, and then we put everything set up, and then we had our thing, and then I had to go and wait for the panel. And I was by myself, which is kind of, kind of refreshing. Nothing, but I love having an entourage there. No, like I said, I love to have an entourage, but it was me, 8:30, butt tired, and I think I may have said things that were, a little bit off. Boobies was mentioned. Hey, but not by me. That was one of the audience members. So I'm like,
oh my.
Okay, we'll go with it. Oh no, the doctors did see it, Christian. Oh, sorry.
You're like, maybe they see it.
Label it PG-13. Just make sure you handwrite PG.
Exactly. Speaking of PG-13. Hi, Mackenzie. Mackenzie of the right of ones.
I don't know why I'm being associated with PG-13. More things about like the conversation I just had, a screenwriting conversation regarding a project that I'm doing, and they said, "Oh, this isn't really YA, is it?" I said, "No, it's not. It never was supposed to be." What could that mean?
Again, for our friends who are just joining us, we are going to be discussing about the departure announcement of Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall. But I want to introduce you to our friends out here who we're going to be talking, who will be talking about in the panel: Mackenzie, Floor, the Right of Wands, and the Binge Watchers.
Binge Watchers guy. We have to mute things again. And author of the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who.
I almost said something else.
So you understand what our live panels are like. So you understand what our live panels are like. This is it.
Yes.
And I'm like,
we're taking it easy because we're still all recovering. And speaking of recovering, because I have no segue, how you doing there, Kevo?
Kevo.
Love you, Kevo. From Husbands Talking More or Less podcast, also the man who does these wonderful thumbnails.
Yes.
Do you do it for other people? I mean, could somebody hire you to do these thumbnails if they want?
Please hire me. Reach out. By all means. I would love to do it for other people. I don't do a ton. I do it for our own shows. X is for Podcast, which is my husband's X-Men podcast, and Husbands Talking More or Less. I do the images for that, and I do all of the art for our webcomic series, Kid Riot. Well, no, not all the art. That was terrible. The promo art, but I can't draw worth a damn. But when it comes to like making stuff out of other stuff, yeah, it's fun. That idea just came to me immediately when you said to me it's going to be Who's Leaving. I was like, yup.
Oh, you told me this was going to be the hardest thumbnail. He's just like, I don't know how to really.
Well, I was just sad.
Right. It's like you have to draw through tears.
Well, I'm sorry for the folks who are in the audio, but I was just like, when I looked at this, I was like, oh my God. They have moved on in a sad sense. I was looking at it, I was like, oh my God, this is kind of funeralistic a little bit, but I love it. I love it.
Well, it shows their span. It's their run.
I know. But it was like that little black and white and was like, oh, they're fading into the...
How else do we deal with this grief? We need to go on and like be ready for what's next. I want to know.
Yes.
I have no idea what's going to happen next. Speaking of which, Dan Hollyfield says one day Christian may actually learn the English language. Shut it, Dan. Carl Rotsman, I really wish we'd seen Jodie with another showrunner and writers. Yeah. Yep. Oh my God, that's probably going to be part of the latter half of this discussion.
I think that's the consensus right there.
When I posted, I don't mention this. When I first posted from SCIFI.RADIO the article about that, there is like this long running chain of a response, and it's almost across the board. I mean, there's some variations. Some people didn't like her. Some people loved her. Some people, but there seems to be a running consensus throughout the Whoniverse about how they feel about this. So, my gun, Jodie got screwed on her run as the Doctor. Bad scripts with little consistency. The show needs someone heading it that can give her a better run. Well, Mike, that was probably the show's over. There we go. That was the consensus.
Honestly, that's it. I mean, I know for myself, I want more. I've wanted more Jodie, less Chibnall, because I mean, go back to all of our reviews. The ones that he did not write were the ones I ranked higher, and I enjoyed more.
I would not only go over for the showrunner, but I would also go for the writing. There was so much potential in the writing in some of the scripts, and it would just fall flat.
Yeah.
And it didn't do her any justice. Whereas, and I think for are we going into the discussion now?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we're just going to keep vamping for another 40 minutes.
Well,
yes. That's what the people are here listening to.
I know I'm not that tired. I think it's Chris did not give her the direction she needed.
I mean, he gave her the shot, which I'm emphatically grateful for. He's the one that said, "No, we're going to go with a female doctor. We're going to go with Jodie Whittaker. This is how we're going to run. We're going to do this. This is how we're going to Doctor Who. In 2018 is when she started.
Yeah.
Isn't it sad that we know it's 3 and out, but in reality it's 2018 to 2022?
Yeah.
So and it's not necessarily just because of COVID. So anyway, that's that. I can start going on that little rant in a moment, but I'm grateful. Going back to that point, I'm grateful that Chibnall was the one who said, "Okay, this is the doctor we're going with." He gave her the shot of Jodie Whittaker. Now it was a awesome step aside, sir. Let her do something with somebody else.
I'll do this. Let me go ahead and run a commercial break because I do want to make a statement. I want you guys to pick it apart. Also, I want to know, when you first heard the announcement, what were you thinking? Where were you at that time? So let's go ahead and go to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll focus on this more. When we continue, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend.
Bateman.
What's the Bateman?
A novel set in Florida, written by Florida author D.L. Havlin. Suspense, mystery, and murder.
Evidence is in the bait.
The Bateman is available at local bookstores and online.
Jackie Sonnenberg's My Soul to Keep is a ghost story rooted in the realities of actual cults. When 13-year-old Sky Monroe arrives at her new boarding school, all she can think about is death and connecting with the afterlife. Soon she discovers her school's spirituality group, the Guardians of Light, and they have a secret. They can speak with the dead, and the organization is a cult. But this isn't Sky's only problem. The campus house where Sky resides is haunted, and even the ghosts have an agenda. They intend on getting the souls they want. Filled with mystery and intrigue plucked straight from the headlines, author Jackie Sonnenberg's research and attention to detail give this ghost story an even more eerie atmosphere. Find My Soul to Keep on Amazon.com today.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
And if you're watching us on the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, or the Twitch channel, thank our friends over at GeekInsider.com. We are powered by GeekInsider.com. Don't forget to subscribe.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.
And if you're just joining us, welcome to the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. My name is Christian Basil. I've got Melanie Dean from Pieces of Melee on the Instagram. I got our good friend Kevo Risse at Kevo Really on the Instagram. If you like those thumbnails, you can hire him. We also have Nisha Mulchin, APRN and CEO of Diversely Geek, and all the way at the other end, the lovely author of the Red Wands and her sonic screwdriver, Mackenzie Floor. We are talking about, as you can see scrolling down at the very bottom, we are doing a live chat about the announcement of Jodie and Chris leaving Doctor Who in 2022. Let me start with you, Kevo. When you heard about the announcement, what's that?
Well, my first thought was this team. Genuinely, as soon as I saw it, I immediately went to our chat and was like, "Has anybody else seen it yet?" Because when I saw it, it came up in my Facebook feed, and it had only been like 14 minutes, and I immediately looked at the page and was like, "No, this is Doctor Who. This is real. This is really happening." And I think I was in shock at first, like a lot of us. I'm a little disappointed by how few episodes we will have of 13 by the end of this, like barely more than 30 episodes. I wanted more, but, this whole situation has been hard. It was probably already hard being the first female Doctor, but now everything that's happened the last 2 years, I get people doing whatever they need to do with their careers. Mm-hmm. I am the most anxious and feel the most emphatic about who will be replacing Chris. Whoever's going to be the Doctor will be the Doctor, and they get chosen for a reason, and no one has really disappointed me so far. I really am dead curious to know who is going to take over this show, because I know it was such a struggle to find someone to replace Stephen Moffat in the first place. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Are there more people who are interested in the show now? Are people less interested in the show with everything that's happened? I think that needs to be a huge... Yeah, same. I'll take it. I will take it.
I always hear that story out there. Says nobody wants to show run the show.
Well,
Brian says the same thing. I said, fly me out there. I'll go show run this damn.
J. Michael Straczynski has said on his Twitter that he is very much interested in being a showrunner, and he can do it, but he's American. So would they let him do that?
They need to get over that, and that's something we've talked about in other episodes too. Yep.
Yeah, I was actually watching a friend's podcast, Kevo. They were actually a little bit more hardcore on the other side, saying that there seems to be a British connection. It's that Doctor Who's British, and its core should be British. It should not go to an American thing. And they were bringing up the TV movie as an example of like why it should not be too much Americanized. I'm looking for, can you show run? Can you do this better than what we just had?
Exactly.
Honestly, when they keep pointing out the movie, it's like, oh, that's because the Americans screwed it up. Like, no, too many cooks were in the damn kitchen. Right. That was the biggest problem. You had the BBC, and then you had Fox, and you had a litany of producers and notes coming from all over the place. I mean, they weren't even on the same page of who they were going to cast. They had already told another actor, "Oh, we cast you," until he found out, "Oh, I guess not," and it was Paul. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that to me it was just too many people putting with too many people's input. If you put somebody just in that role, I mean, what's the worst that can happen now, people?
Right. Again, it's like when they hire the Doctor, can they act? Do they know anything about Doctor Who? Do they have the acting chops to reflect not only what came before, but to go forward with in a new interpretation? I'm at that point. And can you write Doctor Who? Do you know anything about the previous? Do you know what good stuff that you have in the past 50 some odd years that you can bring back and try to flesh out, plus bring us new stuff so that it can run another 50 plus years when I'm dead and gone, and the children who grow up now will endure Doctor Who and enjoy it like I did, like we did when we were kids. It's that's what I'm looking for. I don't think that's too much to ask, but it seems to be too hard to execute. But Melanie, we all heard it from. No, go ahead, Kevo. I saw your mouth open.
No, I was just gonna say. I think it's really important to keep British culture important in Doctor Who lore. It would be like taking a character whose favorite city is New York and changing that. The Doctor, for who they are, loves the UK, loves London, loves all of that, and that's really important to the character. But beyond that, there is no need for this Anglican purity when it comes to production. It's the same way they wouldn't hire non-British actors in the Harry Potter movies. That's ridiculous. How many non-Americans are playing Marvel superheroes? Like, we need to embrace each other.
Superman is British.
So weird.
And everybody loves Henry Cavill. Yeah. Superman's British, and everybody loves Henry Cavill. And it's always that seems to be there's that stigma.
Yeah.
I remember the days that people were like, "Oh, Michael Keaton as Batman." Now they can't see him as not being Batman. They now want him the Batman Beyond thing. Now he's doing something for the Flash, if I'm mistaken. They're doing a movie or something like that. I'm going to open this question up for the panelists. Graham Krause asked a good question. Capaldi has so many great speeches. Did Jodie have one that stand out for you? And this is something that I attribute to the writing in the past 2 years. Do you have a speech that you can remember?
It wasn't a speech. It was more or less her just saying "travel hopefully" when she was making her last kind of exit when she was exiting out of the TARDIS on one episode, and that to me I thought was great, but it wasn't really a speech.
Right?
Not at all. Not at all.
But when you compare Jodie's time, like when 11 is standing up on the Pandorica and talking to his enemies, when the Christmas invasion, when 10 is talking to the Sycorax, this planet is defended. Everybody has all these great speeches, and there's always that what I call the space god moment when the Doctor is in full force and all gears are running. When 11 is finally regenerated and he's standing right in front of the Atraxes, not only does he tell them to go away and then tells them to come back, he says, "Going away is good. Not coming back is better." And he just brings them in and verbally backhands them, and then they leave. I mean,
we get a lot of wonderful discussion, small. So there's no long,
like one-liners.
Yeah, but there's some great, especially the one about change. Remember, we are all capable of the most incredible change. We can still evolve while because I had to pull it up. I had it here. We can still evolve while still staying true to who we are. We can honor who we've been and choose who we want to be next. Those are one of the earlier episodes. Remember, I didn't. Titles are not in my head right now, but the one where they're in the oh my goodness gracious, the young lady who's blind and the father. And I can't think of it right this minute, but in that episode when she's talking with the almighty being, and that's like a bartering conversation. It's about, hey, this is who I am. This is who I can be to you and who I've been to you, but also understand these people have to have the right to be able to live their life and have their journey and evolve.
Right.
But I'll be your friend and I'm here. So even though you don't see me, I'm still going to be here for you. I always remember that. Now I don't remember the name of the show this moment. That's a problem. But you know what I'm saying?
But that's a testament to the writing that's going on. Which there's nothing here for me. I think the one time I mentioned when we were doing a review was Revolution. I just remember her flicking a switch, and then the image of the Dalek, the what I'm going to call her the she Dalek. I forgot the character, but the woman who's been what's that?
The puppet lady, yeah.
The puppet, yeah. When the Dalek is laughing and she flows a switch, and then the hologram shows up and she goes, "Now tell me in my face." I started seeing the Doctor starting to show up, but not, the Orphan 55. I can't use that speech. It's there's so many speeches. Maybe the moment at the end of Rosa when she's discussing about her life, but. To me, that was such a great episode, but it got killed off by a horrible bad guy who was absolutely garbage.
But for me, obviously a standout for me historically and for a lot of emotional connection was Demons of Punjab, which is a title I can't forget because I understood exactly what it meant. And there were at least two very strong, relevant speeches in that episode that for me were highly important in terms of my historical relevance to me, and it should have been for everybody, to be fair. So I'm not going to say that, or I'm not going to look. There were good speeches. They were there. They just maybe weren't the ones that everybody was just was repeating, or made it as famously as say Capaldi's, because Capaldi's speech is just timeless. That's never going to go anywhere. So, but yeah.
And that's the point. That's really the point that Christian's making. I have to agree with it because if you look at R.T. Davis and Stephen Moffat, and we compare those two to Chris Chibnall, what was it that they had that Chris Chibnall has? He does not follow the BW formula, which actually in season 13, he's going to do that. That's why he was so popular in Broadchurch. He was so successful because it was an arc where everything built up. It wasn't just all thrown in your face all at once, or like one episode that could be forgotten about. The Daleks episodes, those were, in my opinion, they were done well, and that was simply because that was supposed to be a trilogy. So yes, we are going to see another Dalek episode in the future. Probably for the New Year's episode is going to be another Daleks episode because that was what was planned. But outside of that, they're really the formula, the format of season 11 through 13 has been broken. It's been broken from day one. You try something different, which is good. You have to do things that are different. Because if you always stay the same, we won't grow. We won't change.
I get different, but I think there was so many times that he was introducing characters that he never did anything with. Or there was just so many strings just spaghettiing all over the place. And I'm like, we're not saying this, we're not doing this, but
I completely missed having continuity as that underpinning arc that we're so connected to, that takes us all the way through this Doctor's arc. Every Doctor had it, and I don't know quite where this one is. I'm wondering if we're going to get it fully in the last season. I'm hoping we better, actually, because we need to have some legacy in terms of the 13th Doctor. And yes, I agree. We need to have a really relevant, very much more deep conversation or speech.
I don't mean to cut you off, but Melanie, were there any comments that you want me to hit upon? I saw some really good stuff, and I just been that.
Okay, you can go with Dan's. Real quick, he's a good.
He's got a prediction. Dan Hollyfield prediction and Last Man Standing. He's actually got a podcast of his own. Go check it out. Dan Hollyfield. Whoever becomes the next showrunner will be hated for at least 2 years, and whoever becomes the 14th Doctor will be hated by 30% of the fans. Isn't that what always happens?
Yeah, safe bet. That's just how it works.
It does kind of work, but we still hate Chibnall 2 years later.
Yeah, and it's
let me correct that. I don't. It's not that
I was about to say
Chibnall.
You don't hate Chibnall.
I don't hate Chibnall. I just don't like the direction he took the show in.
Yeah,
that's
one of the things. Yeah, so I'm apologies, but no, yeah, I didn't like the way. I don't know Chibnall, so I just don't like the way the show is. One of my biggest grievances. There's 3 of them. One of them was if we were going to start with this kind of change to the Doctor, we should have had one companion only. That was just way too much because taking multiple companions, it did what it does normally, and even in past episodes, like the fifth Doctor series, we don't know what to do with them, and we want to focus on Jodie's Doctor. We want that one companion to have a relationship because that's how the audience views the Doctor. Having too many companions with too many backstories, we need to focus on the Doctor. That was one of my biggest grievances about that. And then when we start getting comfortable and people are going, well, this isn't bad. And if the writing were good, and if the directing were good, and then the direction that it was going were good, then we add more companions with a backstory. Now we got something for Jodie to work with. I think having too many companions at the start really flushed it down. I'll start with that. That's more.
And Sal, I agree with you to a point because I know that was a definite problem I had, at least going episode by episode rating, was I remember saying I want more Yaz. I need, because I remember thinking, and to this day I think Yaz and Ryan weren't fleshed out. For some reason, Graham was able to come in and we knew his backstory. We got everything down and we're good. To me, his character was set. We knew him as a character. I didn't understand. I wanted more Yaz. I wanted more Ryan, not necessarily just in words, but the presence or stuff behind, that kind of thing. So in my head, I'm like, well, maybe if we had less characters, then we would have also had more Jodie, which we would have given the time for the speeches and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But then I stop and go, how many ensemble cast things have I watched, not only lately, but years ago, like even like Band of Brothers kind of stuff, which I know that's a long serial, but that's a lot of people. Right. And that's Friends has a lot of people. You're able to figure that out. So to me, I go, am I shifting my I wish kind of part, to the wrong spot? I mean, it's easy when you're, being an armchair quarterback, but maybe it was the writing.
It was the writing, and it's the fact that it's the formula. Exactly. With Friends, you're taking a story that starts as a story with all these characters that's part of their journey, and that's it. They stay and they move with it. But because that's not how it works with Doctor Who, we just got, you're right, we got a plethora of new input in a very quick amount of time and had to try and absorb and digest all this information really quickly and then try and piece a puzzle together. And they were great pieces, man. They all are fantastic, but they still don't fit.
Right. Philip Nichols says the classic show had the other Doctors in the brain of Morbius, so it's partly to blame as a continuation of the storyline really in the Timeless Children. The thing is that story is still contradicted to this day because there is a big finish called Vengeance of Morbius, and it points that those pictures were of Morbius's previous selves. Now the question came up, how long have you lived, Doctor? How long have you lived? It's one of those things that was just overlooked when it happened. It was something that it was going to be, it was just for that episode and go further. And Chris Chibnall ran with it and said, this is the Timeless Children. And again, I still have a hard time with the Timeless Children as far as the story was subpar. And I have about 1 billion questions to ask Chris. Okay, Chris, if this is the case, if she is the chosen one, if this is where Gallifrey started, I've got about 52 years of episodes that challenge this right now, because a lot of it, and I'll say this for Chris Chibnall, this is the biggest thing that really, and then we'll go to commercial break and then we'll get everybody's comments as well. the hardest thing about the Timeless Children, and I mentioned in the show, it took me a while to rate it, was that you basically told Bruce Wayne he's been Superman this whole time. And for me, it cheapens the Doctor as a character, because now the Doctor it was bad enough that we had to, the Doctor got more lives. That's fine and dandy because we got to keep the show going, but we still didn't know how many lives the Doctor had. It could have been 2, could have been 100, but
it wasn't going to be, though. You know that.
Exactly. But that's the thing about the Doctor Who. We don't know anything about the Doctor. That is when we were talking about the Cartmel master plan, we know there's more to this Doctor, but that's as far as we go. Mm-hmm. We might have these little tidbits and things that we throw in there periodically, but the Timeless Children gave me way too much, because now she's not Gallifreyan, or I don't know. I thought it was just poorly written. I think he was trying to ingest something into the lore to try to make it bigger, but there were some Whovians, like classic Whovians myself, they're like, okay, I've got 100 questions for you that this doesn't make sense anymore. And I don't mind you trying to reinvent, this is, building on top, but I think you're also building underneath, and that's not cool. It's like trying to pull a Jenga puzzle together while you're trying to pull the big pieces up top and then futzing it with the bottom pieces down here. It just seemed to start to fall apart. Yet it is, The Good Place is a perfect example of a equally fleshed out ensemble cast. Hey, I wonder what Mike Schur is doing. But it started off with just Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. And then you bring in the cast slowly and give them a backstory that works with your main cast. Oh. And then you have some fun with it. And then later on in the episodes, you get to focus on, because people would want to know what the other characters are doing just as much as the main characters are doing. That's my opinion on that. If I'm wrong, please correct me.
I'll go even further with The Good Place. I'll even say Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're comedies, but they also have parts of drama. But it shows that you can do an ensemble cast that you can figure out.
MASH was a great example of that. We focused on it was always Trapper John and Hawkeye Pierce. Mm-hmm. But when we started seeing the others, and when it became slowly more from a comedy into more of a drama, and it started putting more heart into it, MASH became, wow, now we really want to care about other characters aside from what we're seeing. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and take down these things. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in. We're just going to go commercial break. When we return, we're going to continue our discussion and with your live chats, talking about Jodie and Chris's departure in 2022. Here we go.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
Author Cindy Koepp is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Koepp at CKOEPP.com today.
The massive audio Doctor Who Bad Wolf Bluetooth TARDIS speaker. That's all I gotta say. One word. Wow. It looks like it just jumped right off the screen. Here it is in all its Bad Wolf glory. Right here is the on-off switch and the up and down volume. Right here's the speaker. The TARDIS stands about 6 inches from the bottom of the TARDIS all the way up to the top where the light is. Look at the detail. Wow.
And you can get those Bluetooth speakers and the cell phone chargers, the wireless cell phone chargers, over at Amazon.com/FameTek, FameTek. That's Amazon.com, FameTek. Don't forget to tell them the legend of the Traveling Tardis sent you. For those of you just joining us, welcome. We are talking about the big elephant in the room, Jodie and Chris leaving in 2022. I saw a lot of chats go like completely mad, Melanie, so let's go ahead and hit them up. Get that going there. Philip Nichols already had Doctor Who the movie Americanized, filmed in Vancouver, Canada, where the X-Files as filmed. At the time, without it, the show wouldn't have come back proper. Also, I don't think it helped for Paul McGann to premiere as the Doctor, as well as the ending episode of Roseanne at the same time. That did not,
at least
help.
for American audiences.
For an American audience, yeah. The classic shows have the other doctors in the brain. Oh, sorry.
You already had that one.
Carl Witzman says Graham had suffered loss too, and that has been a factor in many companions. There's something I've been always wanting to say, was that one episode about the frog.
Right.
Yes, in the mirror world.
It takes me away. That's the same episode. It takes me away. Yeah.
See, I wouldn't have had the frog thing. I wouldn't even had Jodie confronted. I would have had Grace in the frog role.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it would have been Grace's voice. I just put Grace there.
No, I put Grace there, and I would have put Graham in the doctor spot, and the doctor's going, "We got to go," and Graham's going, "No, I want to be here." Now, how much of a dynamic would that be, that Graham wants to stay in this universe, and Grace, the frog Grace, for a better term, is leading him on, and then the doctor's going, no, this is not real.
See, I didn't mind the way that episode was written. I think honestly it was just the frog part. I was like, why are we going that far with it? I mean, you can clearly tell it was Grace's voice, and I think it would have just been more poignant of them showing off yes, I can pull that character out of your mind, or get that kind of inspiration and be speaking to you from the voice of Grace. But did you really need to do a CGI frog at that point? I think it just would have been better if it was just her. I mean, she's doing the ADR anyway. Or
it would just have been a room by herself. There's nothing else. You just hear Grace's voice. It would have been just a white room where she's in the middle of nowhere, no time and space, just having the discussion. I don't know why the frog was.
It would have been an absolutely beautiful and poignant and extremely connective decision making to have had Grace be that character, and then have that point be something that carried on. Mm-hmm. So we're still working through the grief cycle.
Yeah,
right.
Because that's something that all of them, every one of them, was dealing with, but in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just Graham, by the way. I mean, obviously Ryan lost a grandmother. Yaz was going through grief from a completely different perspective and point of view, and so was the Doctor. So let's, I think that would have been great.
There's a thought that over the course of this episode is sort of crystallized in my mind that I think speaks to a lot of the problems with Chris Chibnall as a writer and the direction the show has gone. I feel as though, at least for the majority of modern Who, Doctor Who had become a lot more of an action-adventure show than it was just sci-fi. And I feel like Chris Chibnall didn't know how to do action-adventure. Jodie's Doctor has never really been an action hero. Even 12 had his moments of being an action hero, especially because it was still Stephen Moffat who was running the show. So he was still running it like an action-adventure show. But I feel as though none of the action stuff has been very well handled, and I think that's even part of why we're not getting speeches from Jodie that are very powerful, and why a lot of things like the frog stuff feels very weird, because we're still getting a lot of the weird sci-fi stuff. But I think that's a huge part of why there has been this awkwardness to Chris Chibnall taking over the role. He likes to do weird stuff and emotionally intimate stuff, but the Doctor isn't really as much a hero as they were for the last 10 seasons before Jodie took over.
That's the point. You got it right there. You didn't give the 13th Doctor hero moments. Not enough.
Exactly. There was no speeches. There were speeches, but they really didn't justify the 13th Doctor. They're not speeches that if somebody said put the best 13 speeches together, I just wouldn't even know where to point. 12 is easy, 9 is easy, 10 is easy, 11 is easy. I can't find anything that I could say, okay, what speech would you introduce somebody who's never watched Doctor Who? What speech would you use to bring from 13's run so far? I'm hoping in this series that comes up, we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Chibnall goes, okay, this is where I've been lacking. But is there a speech right now that you say this is something? Because I can tell you everything about her predecessors, but not her.
There's only one that I can think of, and ironically, it wasn't written by Chibnall, nor was it even part of the show. It was during the time during COVID-19 where Jodie...
the closet scene, yeah.
That, for me, that moment actually connected me the most to her doctor, because I can remember myself at that time. It was unknown. I was scared. I'm immunocompromised, so yes, I'm vaccinated, but I don't know that, the way that they're saying is that those who get vaccinated and are immunocompromised, you might as well not even get the shot. It doesn't work. So that type of stuff, I was really
That's
scared.
not true, but okay.
But that is some of the things that I was experiencing. And having that speech really made me feel, okay, we're going to get through this. I believe it. She's the doctor. And for that was my moment.
And she was in a closet the whole time doing this. I'm sure this was off the cuff. There was nothing writing. So this is a testament to Jodie. And what could have been if somebody had just given her the tools that she needed. But she was, it was great that she had used that to let the fans know, hey, it's bad. And she made it an adventure. I'm hiding from the Centaurans. So she made it into a story. That was awesome. And that's the best for Jodie as far as being in that role, but nobody's given her what she needs to do. And she had to do it in a closet on her own, which is sad. Yeah. Sherry Clausen, Chris was a terrible choice for showrunner, as he wrote the worst episodes during Moffat's run. The opposite was true of Moffat, who was some of the best episodes of all time during Davies' run as showrunner. I would go as far. You see, the thing with Chibnall is when I was excited when I first heard about Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker, because I'm going back into the classic now. Chris Chibnall, if anybody remembers, or you can actually pull this up on YouTube. What speech? Yeah. You can see where he actually is sitting on a panel with other Whovians, and John Nathan Turner, who was the showrunner back then, or the producer, I should say. I think he was expecting all these kids to go, yay, we love Doctor Who and everything. But here comes this Chris Chibnall who comes in and goes, no, it could be better. It could be a lot more better. And that's why I was kind of on the side of Chris Chibnall, because for a kid at his age to go against the production, it would be like going up against, if Marvel did something wrong and you as a kid came up and went over to, who's running Marvel nowadays, Kevin Feige, and saying, no, Kevin, that's wrong. And Kevin was expecting this kid, to go Google over Marvel, but no, he's going like, no, you went in the wrong direction. I had hope that Chris, as an adult, would take the series and go, okay, this is what I was talking about. This is the way I run the series. But now my question is, what would happen if young Chris Chibnall met older Chris Chibnall in that meeting? What would he say to himself about what he's done with it? James Hiram, are there any characters or constructs in the Whoniverse that have the ability to rewrite time and sweep the timeless children? under the rug. Oh wow! And I do know there's a split in the Whoniverse because of the time.
A good writer could do it.
Here's the thing, James, and this is what's also driving me insane. And I think people overlook this. It could still all be a lie. That's still built into the Timeless Children.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this could
be a manipulation from the master.
Yeah,
exactly. This could also be a lie. But if you look at the BBC, they're like, oh, okay, look at how many doctors there are and all these previous times. Wait a minute. You left the door open. This can all still be a lie. So if it's a lie, all what you're saying is bupkis. Just leave it alone. I mean, if we revisit it, that's fine. But just to let you know, I know of a lot of Whovians that were, classic Whovians who were just not ready for this. And I think this is something that you should have eased into. When we were giving a female Time Lord conversion, we were eased into it thanks to Moffat because of Michelle Gomez taking over as Missy. And there were some naysayers that are going like, oh my God.
Commander?
What's that?
General. The commander? No, general. What? The one dude that was in the 50th that we first saw. And then he came,
yeah.
I can't remember the name.
And actually,
the general,
yeah.
Say general.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the general, the bald guy, right?
Right.
But we were introduced by Missy, and Michelle Gomez owned that role. And whether she did research on her predecessors, whether she, she even watched Doctor Who, she did it well. And I was convinced, you know what, she deserves as much to be on that in that mythos as much as Anthony Ainley, Eric Roberts, all of them, because she owned that role and she made it hers, and everybody was convinced, classic and new for the most part, she was the master.
I do have a master footnote, but I'm going to bring that in the after party.
Sure, we got a lot of comments. I'm sorry. Is there any comments you'd like me to read? Because we're definitely going to be going into the after party with comments.
The one showing, sir.
Christopher Chapfield, the highlight was season 12's Fugitive the Jadoon. No one saw that coming. That blew me away. Got me more excited about Doctor Who than for years. So as a good thing. I also loved Joe Martin as the Doctor.
Me too.
That bald dude. Thanks, Tom.
I can't remember the actress who stood up after that, and she was just joking around that she was the next Doctor cast. Yeah. Remember, I can't remember the actress's name, but
that's great.
Okay,
I love her.
I'm thinking that,
and bald still works for her.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were asking about a great speech, and I think you had up that the Fugitive of Jadoon. That comment right there. Remember the conversation between Ruth and Jodie, where Jodie the 13th gets that comeuppance, and she's like, "Hey, you think you're all this, and a bag of chips, but really, let me tell you the reality of what it is to be the Doctor." Because I was there. I was there from the beginning of this. And this is the things that conversation where I will always remember that. Sure, I'm not going to quote it right now. I could, but I think that was a pretty amazing episode in terms of that dichotomous relation, that dynamic of the two of them. That should have continued. That should continue.
And I was extremely intrigued with the Ruth Doctor. I wanted to know more about the Ruth Doctor. I wanted to see just more of the Ruth Doctor, and I felt like we went right into the Timeless Children kind of arc. And I'm kind of like,
we didn't need it.
I wanted to mine that a little bit more and get me intrigued to what we were building to. Okay, I think maybe that was a big part of it. It was just, okay, well, here's this, and now we're gonna have this huge thing. I'm like, I wanted that simmer me a little bit more before we go right into the rolling boil of, okay, we were all just dropped into a pot of boiling water without, being prepared for, here's another twist, here's another twist, are you ready for another one? Here we go. I'm like, okay, I need to get off this roller coaster. I feel sick.
That right there is the reason why the formula is not working and didn't work, because that is something that you, as a screenwriter and a showrunner, you would know that. You would know that everything, each episode has to have if you're going per season, you look at it as a whole. You have one major mystery, you have intrigue, you have irony, you have drama, you have comedy, all of that. You throw it all together, and then you slowly reveal things. So like the Fugitive Jadoon with the Ruth Doctor, you could have gone a whole nother way.
Yes.
And then gone back around and like, okay, this is the Timeless Children. With the Bridget Jejune, I still think, even knowing they've said that it's not, I still think that the Ruth Doctor possibly is from an alternate timeline. I still believe that, even knowing.
That's what I'm hoping.
Let me go to Tanisha. Let me complete this thought. Why would you even say it? Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Just let it happen. Just let fans think about who the Ruth Doctor is. And I think a multi, everybody's got a multiverse now. Why not the Doctor? Why couldn't the Doctor come out? I mean, she goes through other dimensions, through other space. Why couldn't that Doctor meet other representation of themselves in other places? And because now you've opened the door for other things to happen. Mm-hmm. Could you have an evil Doctor? Can we finally see like the Valyard side of things? What would happen if it would go downhill? Let me read this comment because it's been up here for a while and I want to make sure we get it. Philip Nichols, funny, no one complains with Chibnall stuff on Torchwood or Broadchurch for that matter, but with Doctor he can't really run, no right. Okay, sure. And showrunners don't always work as well as it was more rewrites with scripts, editors upon a time with producers more paramount like JNT. I think when it comes to Chibnall, he is a soap opera writer. Mm-hmm. That's why Broadchurch works so well. There's a scene that I think was great, but I kind of criticized because it's a scene that I don't know if it worked well in the episode. It was the relationship between the two gentlemen, I can't remember their names, I'm sorry, but the Praxis. Mm-hmm. Because you had all this moving around and stuff, but then we're focusing back on these two guys, which is fine. We should know we should know the stakes between the two of them, what's going on, but we're in a sci-fi show. So we got to keep things moving, get that explanation out there, have them work within what's going on with the Doctor's world. That to me, because you can find things where in episodes where, especially where Chibnall's written, it just goes, we're off on a rocket, and all of a sudden it just stops. Mm-hmm. And then we have to build up, and by that time the show's over. Speaking of the show's over, let me go ahead and get a commercial break. It looks like we're going to be getting a lot of chats in the after party when we return. Please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and become part of the legend. Where is it? Oh, that thing.
Experience Samara's adventure as she imagines the people around her change into friendly cartoon animals right before her eyes. Journey with her in this poetic tale, My Cartoon Imagination at School.
Oh, sorry. Left that up there. Doctor Who Worlds Apart, DoctorWho-WorldsApart.com. Don't forget to sign up. You can play for free once we get things started, and we'll be doing games here live to show you everything that's all about. You can also purchase your package, your cards, your package cards, and also every day when you sign in, you get your Pandex. You get 10 Pandex every day just for signing in, and you'll be able to play the game for free. So for our friends listening on the audio, DoctorWho-WorldsApart.com. Tell them the legend of the Traveling Tardis sent you. Oh God, we got a lot of comments. We just got a lot of comments. Everybody's got it.
I think I'm agreeing. How many that I think I said when we first did the episode after the Timeless Child, because I'm reflecting, that I thought that the Master was more than likely fibbing. That there was a big, heavy, deep fib lit into the middle of all this, and that all that was lighting a firecracker or a big whatever you want to call it, and that it was about the explosion that was supposed to come, which we started to see, but we didn't ever get to the next part of that explosion. So I'm thinking, this is just like some parallel universe type of stuff, and maybe it's not at all what we all think it is, and just let's wait until we see. But then we didn't get a second. As it comes, so we're like, oh. And I think maybe Ruth is intertwined. At least I'm hoping. I hope, because that would make sense.
we're coming to the end of our audio portion of the show, but let me do we're definitely going to hit everybody's chats into the after party. We're going to stick around for another half hour, but I just want to give Chris a close-up. One close-up. Chris, stop blowing up Gallifrey. My God, those people have had enough up there. Please, how many times can we blow up that planet? Leave it alone. It's time locked. Done. You killed it. You killed the Time War. It's really annoying. Don't blow up Gallifrey anymore. And anybody's taking over, don't do it.
No, he's going to do it again.
He's going to do it again.
For
5 more times. Yeah, just because I said it.
Blow it up. It's going to be in a constant loop. It's going to be a time loop.
It will be, yes. That would be so mean.
You're horrifying. I love it.
I'll read this as the last comment. We'll get to the comments into the after party. Tom Kosak says, "Is the Gallifrey we've seen destroyed one of the many clone planets from during the Time War stories? Joe's TARDIS was newer than the old Type 40. It seems, and there've been like a billion.
It did look newer, even though it was covered in dirt when we first saw it.
Exactly.
It was buried.
For our friends who are going to be staying with us, please do so. We're going to get to your chats. For our friends who are listening to the audio, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to go to youtube.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're going to try to hit 2,000 subscribers, hopefully by the end of the year, if not by the end of the month. We're going to continue our discussion in the after party, so please continue to stay logged on, tune in, be safe, and thank you for being part of The Legend. And welcome to the after party. So let's get to those comments. We didn't get the whole.
There's so many good ones.
There's so many good ones. Hit them up. Let's go get them. Philip Nichols. Yep, it could all be a lie in some shape or form. Having more lives. Why does Big Finish Productions always take precedence? So Chris could acknowledge it with The Vengeance of Morbius. Jodie's doctor does say all these lies, and it is the master. So he doesn't always tell the truth, or the show itself over some really good books get rewritten over certain examples from Virgin and BBC Books. As for Ruth Doctor, another parallel, maybe Valyard, be nice to explain further ones too. Yeah, one of the biggest criticisms I have that I hadn't mentioned is when Chris Chibnall said that he was not, in at least the first series, he wasn't going to re-examine anything from the past, get rid of the writers, directors, everything. And that, I think, was a big mistake. That was a huge mistake.
That's my thing. Is even if that's what you're going to do, don't tell people that.
Exactly. Don't
that close to the vest.
Exactly, because it's.
I'm not going to listen to a darn thing. Well,
you might as well just hold a big middle finger to the classic Whovians, because some of them want that. Not only that, I don't understand the philosophy, because it's like saying I have this treasure chest I have this beautiful treasure chest. I know what's inside of it, but I'd rather go and hunt for another treasure chest, and I don't know what's inside it, or how long it will take. You have everything. What's Romana doing? What's Serani doing? What's the monk doing? What are the Mobellians doing? What are everybody doing? The Celestial Toymaker. You have all these classic villains, monsters, stories that are unfinished. Pull one out and just have one of your writers, hopefully they're good, take over and give it more flesh life to the story.
Yeah.
Why are we abandoning ship? And I understand. I actually had a friend. Oh, Willow Skylar. I apologize for my tardiness. Don't forget to check out Pillow Talk with Willow. I apologize for my tardiness. You may have already touched this. Do you think the lack of adventure and mystery is to do Chibnall's unwillingness to acknowledge the classic baddies? Oh yeah, I just said that.
That's what he just said.
Yeah.
You don't have to focus on the Centaurans, the Cybermen. They're other.
I think it
back there.
I think your answer, because again, she just joined, was what you literally just said, but also for if Kevo wants to reiterate what he had said about adventure, just isn't in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, it used to be more of an action adventure show. Now, not so much. And I don't know. He tried. He really did try. You know, the thing Christian said earlier, what would he say to his younger self looking back now that he's gone through it all? Maybe he's happy with this. Maybe this is what he always wanted. Or
I almost think like the most action adventure was Spyfall, and even then it didn't feel quite right. It didn't connect. It didn't.
I like that.
Well, man,
there were things about it I liked.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't dislike it, but there was certain parts where I was like, "Oh, this is different," and I got excited because it was different. But then
again, how many times can we bring the Master back? And how many Time Lords are on Gallifrey that we can make into enemies? I mean, we had one just for a short time. It was I can't even remember her name. It was a lady with the gun with the fugitive of the Jejune.
Yeah,
she was in it for 5 seconds. So what was her role? Why is she and the Ruth Doctor having this issue? Why? It's just like we have so many attempts, and then something goes in there and it falls flat on its face. Rosa was a beautiful episode, and then you put in Krasko and it fell on its face.
New comment.
Go ahead, Kevin.
He just didn't need to ruin Missy. That was not necessary.
I mean, I love Sacha Dhawan, but I'm sorry, it was just too soon. Too soon for me. It's like I don't need another Master right now. You couldn't think of it.
He should have been the Rani or something.
Yes.
I don't know, but
I think Sacha Dhawan, if it was the Rani, that would be perfect. That'd be great. Or the Monk, or just anybody else. Why the Master? Why already go and say, okay, well, I'm rewriting everything that we've already seen. If one, we're rewriting the Master, and two, everything else I'm ignoring. It's like, why? Michelle Gomez was like one of the highlights of this.
I don't want to be part of the
era.
I mean, this Sacha Dhawan's Master doesn't take away from Michelle in the least.
But he could have been something else. It does take away from the character arc of the Master. It ruins all of her character development for his character to follow hers. And especially so immediately after she left.
Especially
it wasn't necessary.
Especially the ending that she got. We needed time for that. It would be almost like if Children of Earth happened, Ianto dies, and then he comes back in Miracle Day.
Yeah, because we didn't see Missy regenerate.
Correct. But I meant that we should have just put her to the side for a moment. I mean, because there's so much good stuff out there. We don't have to keep bringing the Daleks every New Year's back over and over again. And you got stuff out there. Do I really need to Google it and send you a list, Chris, of what you are missing from not going into Classic Who and checking it out? The Daleks have really run themselves into the ground. Now, coming in Series 13, we know that the Weeping Angels are back. We know that the Cybermen are back. But is it too late? Is we gone too far into like, okay, because I know, and this is just a preference to people. People are just like, no, I don't like the series going. People have left. Melanie, people have left just because of that scene between Graham and the doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who left just
between
from
Graham
that
and the
scene.
Doctor with haha, look, cancer's funny. Ha 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 ha. What?
I didn't even think it was funny.
Sorry,
I was just like,
they shot that for comedy, and I will bullet point it down, just like how Dan Holyfield, he said, oh, okay, I've sussed out how to fix Timeless Child, but it would take 2,000 words or so to outline it, so it would make sense to everyone. So you do that, and I'll make the bullet points of what that whole interaction and why that was an epic fail.
It was an epic fail. I confirm.
So yes, and I agree with Graham here. Chris, go to your room. Go to your room.
Go to your broad
no
church.
Dinner. You're not going to. Well, maybe I'll get you a sandwich or something. But no dessert. But go to your room, and you're eating in there. No Nintendo. I'll put a padlock on it. I don't want to be like on the Chris Chibnall, throwing the butts at him train. But I'm just like, I don't see any redeeming factors in the next two for the last two seasons. It seems like Carl and Dan are on it, so they're going to fix it.
They're going to
fix it.
Carl, I mean, I could explain it here. 200 characters, but there was the moment. I mean, if you want to talk about a potential moment that Jodie could have been fleshed out for 13, that speech between Graham could have been so wonderful. That could have been a moment. Instead of I'm socially awkward. I'm like,
awkward.
What? It could have been a beautiful speech and say, Graham, I've been through this with many friends before. I'm here for you. I don't know if I will have the solution, but I will be here for you. And you are not alone. Something. It just seems like they took the easy way out and it didn't even work.
They went the comedy route.
We work on the same brain with Christian at times. It's creepy.
Here we go.
Yes. He criticized it when he was young. Chris Chibnall with the trial of the time that becomes predictable. At least it ain't all predictable, I guess. Action-wide Spyfall. I didn't see I didn't see
Action-wise, Spyfall was just...
Yeah.
No. I cut myself off because I was addressing the trial of the Time Lord. Actually, I did not see the Valyard coming at all. That was the big part of it, and that was, I think, a very, very not only risky endeavor, but I think it paid off. Michael Jason's an awesome actor in there, and I'll finish your comment. The action-wide Spyfall was just all right, and the Master again, a man. Again, missed opportunity with Missy, Michelle Gomez, or Drax. Even another Gallifreyan. Yeah, Drax. I would love to see Drax. I think it was Ben Johnson. I can't remember the comedian's name, but what is Drax doing? Who was a pivotal role at the end of The Key to Time. There's more than one Gallifreyan. There's many of them. I mean, what was it? In the 50th anniversary, how many children on Gallifrey? 2.47 million. I mean, there's how many Gallifreyans?
They've counted it.
Yeah. You counted the children. I'm sure there's a lot more adults.
Oh, yeah.
It's
just kids.
It's just that you have a lot of potential storyline, and they just seem to take the easy way out by bringing the Daleks back over and over and over. And it's like, you're killing me.
For the Cybermen.
Do I have to pull up the list? Carl Witzman.
We all drained. Everybody's like,
yes. Well, okay. So I was gonna.
Well, let me ask this question, and I'll throw this out to the comments as well. Sorry. How excited are you, 1 to 10 scale? But I'm also comparing this to previous series, like 1 through 12, when they were talking about bringing back Doctor Who and the new episodes of Doctor Who. How do you feel that compares to the 13th series? Are you really excited about what's going on? Are you kind of like, I'll see when it happens? Or maybe you're so-so, or you're like, you know what, it really doesn't even faze me anymore. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited for one small thing. And we talked about it back on the Earth Station Who ESO podcast, and that's Vinder. I want to see Vinder and see what that's going to be. And if you've watched the preview of, this is going to be spoilery, so did you watch? If you watched the San Diego Comic-Con preview, and they were talking about what they were doing and that the actor, oh my lord, I can't remember his name,
Jacob Anderson.
Jacob Anderson, thank you.
Okay.
They had that clip of him talking about it, and oh my god, the light in his eyes of when he was
excited.
He was like, I got to push all the buttons, and then I got to pull all the levers, and then I got to go on my ship, and then I got to and I got to pull all the levers. And did you know it's this? I mean, you could see that this is somebody who loves Doctor Who. He loves the fact that he's in this role. Mm-hmm. He's ecstatic that he's in this role, and that he kind of was talking about how that he grew up with it. So I'm like, okay, well, even if you were a passive fan, now he's like all in. And it was just like like this, just a talking head kind of thing, because he had pre-recorded clips sent it, and he said something. And he says, because we don't know who he is, we don't know the character, blah, 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 blah. But he ends up, after knowing who he is, and he's put his heart on his sleeve, he said that, in his heart, this is great, blah, 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 blah. And he can't wait for it in his hearts. He gets He said hearts. At one point, that man said hearts. And if you're a Whovian, you're not going to slip up on the word hearts. You like how I'm just staring at the camera now? Yeah. I want to see this man be a Time Lord. I'm ready. Thank you. I am ready for this. Because this man said the word hearts. There's no way any person that's a Doctor Who fan is going to accidentally say the word hearts. I'm sorry. I am just putting everything in my soul on the line. I am going to just keep wishing for this to happen. Right. That's where I'm just gonna I'm gonna come into existence. So yeah, there you go. That's why I'm ready for the season. I'm just praying for that one little, maybe he just said the word wrong. I don't care.
Just the trailer though. Oh my god, his excitement and exuberance was like, oh my god, I can't wait. I agree with you, Mel. I was thinking that's what's going to happen.
Oh my god, the comments just went nuts. I'm so sorry, people.
And I was real. I wanted to say it too with the San Diego Comic-Con with the trailer. I was very excited about Series 13, especially with me going through screenwriting classes myself now, understanding the BW formula, how it works, all the ins and outs of it, and actually being able to see an episode like, oh yeah, that's how it's applied, blah 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 blah. But then they have this announcement just before everything that they're leaving. So all the excitement I had, I'll be honest, I'm not that excited. And I'm the writer of the Binge Watcher guidebooks. I'm not excited. I'm just like, why should I even bother?
Tom Kosak brings up that Sasha could Sasha have been the Valeyard? I mean, it was in his fan fiction, easily done, but not bringing back, easily done by not bringing back the monster. And FYI, when it comes to fan fiction, that is how we ignore canon and fix these things. So there we go.
I would love that too.
I don't want. I'm me. I'm the biggest cheerleader for Doctor Who, and as I enter Series 13, I don't feel anything.
Yeah,
and I don't want to feel this way.
There's so many great comments. Christian, this will make you feel better. Come on, buddy.
Stupid idea. First episode, the next female doctor, give her amnesia. She has to put the pieces together over the course of the whole season. Finally, at the end, she discovers she's the
Bob Newharter.
That's
it's all a dream.
Sorry,
went back to Tom.
Bob Too Hard.
Could work, James.
Bob Too Hard.
Bob.
Yes, Kevo. I love you.
He's a Whovian.
Awesome.
We have to find the things in there. We find
manifest. Sorry.
Gotcha.
I misunderstood your question before. I thought you were asking how excited we are about what's coming after Jodie and all that stuff. I'd say I'm moderately excited for Series 13. Mm-hmm. I get where you guys are coming from, that this announcement kind of sours our excitement, but who knows? Like Melanie's idea of this guy maybe being a future doctor, and we meet him early. There's still a lot of cool story potential, but I'm very scared about what comes next. We don't know what comes next. That's definitely got me feeling anxious.
So the 14th Doctor and who's coming after Chibnall?
And yeah.
I didn't even. Okay. Sherry says, unfortunately, I'm not that excited about the return of Doctor Who because of what Chris has done to the show. See, I feel the same. I feel like I'm not enjoying a show. I'm going through a show, so I can get to the other end and see who's 14 and who's the next showrunner. I mean, but I still love my fanfic idea of you see Jodie mid-regeneration and the screen cuts off, and then all of a sudden it goes to black, and then all of a sudden you see the 8th Doctor, and then we have 3 series with the 8th Doctor to go back, and let's give Paul McGann his run.
Well, write it. Just let us know if it's on Teaspoon, AO3, or fanfic.net.
I don't want to write it. I want to show run
I
this
don't
and
know
have
what
some
I'm
other
talking
people.
about.
I'll take over show running, and I'll have somebody else write it. And I'm going to take what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do. BBC.
You know that person up there.
BBC. Any writer.
He gets close ups.
Any writer
right.
that you hire. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take them in a room. They're not going to be let out for a couple of days. We're going to watch classic Who from the very beginning all the way up until Peter Capaldi. And everybody's going to have to write me something that says why this is a great show. And from there, I'm going to figure it out. And then I'm going to look at their resume and say, have you written anything sci-fi? I don't care if it's just a pamphlet. Have you written anything sci-fi?
Or action. Or
That's
suspense.
And this is all
of the above.
Way before that, because when you're going to propose a show, you have to go in with a TV Bible, and that Bible gives you who the characters are.
You don't care.
That stuff. And they have
Clearly, they don't care about these things. Bible. Character development. Sorry.
Daleks, well, without them, the overnight success and always Cybermen, Centaurans. At least Eugene came back on screen. And Captain Jack Harkness, Hope, John Barrowman cut from the playtime.
Well, one thing I remember hearing was Barrowman was supposed to be in this season, and then he might have been axed out, and maybe that's why we got Vinder. I don't know.
That was a rumor.
That was a rumor. It was a rumor, y'all. It was a rumor.
Because if you notice, the announcement is coming late into the series, so I'm not. That's a speculation. I'm not even going to address that. Might be the case, but I have a few friends who know people on the inside, and they kind of needed a John Barrowman type figure, but they couldn't have JB at the time because of what was going on.
They went with Grey Worm.
So that's
what I said to the kids. I said, this is a new Harkness, Black Harkness character. I'm not the same, but I'm saying a new character that can take us in that type of, in those type of arcs, and that the Doctor has as a foil character. I have a lot of things that I'd like to see happen with the next season. A lot of it has to do with I'm hoping that they're going to verify that this master is actually a prior one.
That would be amazing.
That is what
if they made it prior, then my hill that I keep going on for Michelle Gomez, I'll be like, okay, we're fine now.
Yeah, I'm hoping, because it makes no sense otherwise. None. So that's one of the things I'm hoping for.
Tom, let us know who you're speaking to, because this is Christian Basil, the king of not pronouncing anything correctly. So I just need to know.
Next comment, please. Philip says at least this upcoming series and Series 13 might have more of a story arc, more linked together, but that always can derail too, because like the war games, they just kept adding stories to it to make it even longer, and but something like the Key to Time, even the Trial of the Time Lord, that was a little bit weird and hokey, but in the end I kind of liked it, and it introduced us to a character that I really appreciate, which is the Valeyard. Michael Jason did an awesome job portraying the evil side of the Doctor. That menace is still somewhere out there. We
need to have our own side fanfic area in Teaspoon, because there's stories all over the place. Ones with our names on it, and then the ones that nobody knows what our actual screen names are, because people can never find me. I mean, again, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I have to say, we could. I wrote a comment that I was going to share to the thing that I think you should make the TLTT team the showrunners for the next Doctor series, because to be fair, this team could probably write everything with extreme aplomb.
I think we need somebody who needs to focus. I think we could all write a story and just make it chain along and make sure.
Just give me your headcanons. Just give me a big old thing, a list of your headcanons. Again, I just came up with that, and now
I would bring back the Christmas.
Reading those things.
I would bring back the Christmas episodes. I already got 3 ideas for a Christmas episode.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
already got them all laid out there. And just the comments for Philip Nichols. He runs, I believe, the Doctor Who Club of Victoria. He's got a Facebook page. Go subscribe over there and join up.
For some reason, my mouse isn't working. Sorry. There we go.
There we go. Yay, audio is fine and better writing. Doctor Who Club of Victoria President. So yes, please go to his Facebook page and subscribe. Next comment. There we go. The Doctor has revisited familiar faces before. Capaldi was in Vesuvius. Gosh, I couldn't say that. Then Tom Baker suggested it, and once in the TARDIS, 10 regenerated into himself. So sure, bring back Paul McGann, and we have the curator, who's not to say
right.
He is the Omega.
Back. Yes.
I stand by that.
He is the Omega.
That's the thing with Big Finish is extremely good about making sure that they are not stepping on anyone's toes. They are the best at okay, is this the strings of spaghetti that's just all over the place? Okay, well, we're going to connect these dots and connect these dots. They are so amazing at weaving these intricate webs of stories and arcs within the canon of Doctor Who that just fit beautifully, and don't step on anybody's tail or on anyone's toes. And meanwhile, I mean, I get that Doctor Who's not going to be the BBC is not going to be well, you guys need to be paying attention to what Big Finish is doing and work from that. But it would be neat if they could, in the back of their heads, in a Favreau Filoni thing, where all of a sudden something you're bringing up video games, you're bringing up all these other things, just to be a nod of going, I see you. Yes, and I see you. And, just those kind of nods would be nice. Kind of really building the Whoniverse, especially since RTD had that interview where he said that he feels that they could have a Marvel-like, universe, an MCU with Doctor Who, that it's that the possibilities there. It's just we don't have the showrunner.
Well, we do. The possibilities should be out there, but I still think it's just me. And I know people... Here's one thing I want to make sure we addressed in here. If you like the Timeless Children or didn't like the Timeless Children, good for you. If you like Jodie, you didn't like Jodie, good for you. If you like Chris or you didn't like Chris, and I think a lot of people don't like Chris, good for you. That's up to you. What I don't like is when Whovians take it out on other Whovians. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got their opinion. Everybody's got it. If you want to have a discussion like we do, this is the foundation of the Traveling TARDIS. If you remember, if you guys ever heard our classic episodes, that's the story of two women at a convention who were afraid to talk because I asked the question, is there anybody who didn't appreciate that Jodie Whittaker was going to be the Doctor? And they stayed silent from the back. Traveling TARDIS is the opposite of bad social media. The whole reason why the five of us are here and all of our friends who are not here today is because we appreciate, even if we have different opinions, we're going to talk about that, whether we like them or not. And we're going to do this in a friendly way that we can discuss it, but we all understand one thing from each other. We love Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. That's never going to change. How our direction takes on it, we all have our different experiences. We all have our different ideologies. But at the end of the day, the five of us are going to have a drink at that bar next door because we had a great time talking about that. And that's what I want, hopefully, as a takeaway from just being, if you're watching this show, that if you have an opinion, don't be afraid to talk about it. If you want to just PM me about your opinion about it, that's fine. I really don't think opinions should be censored. I think opinions should be out there. But I also think they should be productive. Just like, well, I hate her, and that's it. And if you don't like her, as I've told friends, it's like, there are people who say, I don't think, Jonah. Hi, Jonah. Jonah Gilchrist Eccleston's one of my, definitely. And he's continuing audios and Big Finish. You should check him out there. We just did a review on the Ravagers. If you didn't like Jodie, I don't tell people, don't let the door hit you on the way out. I tell people, I'll see you in 3 years. I'll see you in 3 or 4 years. If this is not your gig, go for it.
So tired of 3 and out.
But at least give it a shot. And if you still didn't like it, you gave it a shot. And I can't begrudge you any further. I'll see you in 3 to 4 years. I'll always welcome you back because you're a Whovian. And that's the way I think not only geekdom should be, I think it's just the way everybody should be.
I hope going forward that if it's 3 and out, then we actually get 3 consistent and out, and not this weird how many years it took for. And again, I understand COVID through. If 2020 was the year that never was, I emphatically get that. But Chibnall and company kind of, and I say in company like the production standpoint wise, they had pushed it off the first time and they said, oh, we want to do this. We don't want to have, what was it? They don't want fall anymore. They want spring. And then they were like, okay, no more Christmas specials. We're going to have this. So they had already set this rolling, bar, I guess, of it got pushed back and then it got pushed back. And so we were all kind of in this, when's Doctor Who? So the passive fan was kind of like, what show? Oh, there's a new one? Oh, when is that? And then, unfortunately, COVID was like the final one of, haha, now you really think you're going to be getting content? So that did nobody any favors whatsoever. And again, they started that trend. And then, COVID did what it did. Meanwhile, you have Disney Plus, where I already know my next viewing way for the next year. I'm like, okay. And then MCU going, okay, well, this is how we're doing movies. I'm going, oh, okay. Let me go ahead and buy my seats 4 years in advance.
And I think you bring up a good point there, because one of the things that, and granted, yes, this did start all the way back with the second Doctor, where you do this 3 years thing. But what do you hear so many times from past Doctors of why they quit? They said it's because they have to film for 9 months straight and they don't get to see their family. Now, here over in America, we have things like CSI that's going, God only knows, our Criminal Minds has gone for how many years? People, fix the way you film. Let the Doctor stay.
Give them a craft services. Because that always seems like something that they don't have either. Whenever you go to a con and they talk about like, yeah, I did an American thing. Oh my God, the food. Like, you don't get fed. What happens here?
We're going to run a little bit over because we got a lot of good chats, and I'm reading some of them, and they're just really, really good stuff. But I'll end my discussion if anybody wants to throw in, then I want to finish off with the chats out there. for me, Chris Chibnall had a responsibility too, as well as a showrunner, is to encompass all the Whovians. And that goes back to RTD when he made the decision to say, no, Christopher's not number 1, Christopher's number 9. And Moffat took the same thing. It's not an easy task. And it's like, for a better term, it's like running for president. Unless you have no soul, everybody's going to tear you apart. And you're just going to have to either avoid the naysayers or do what you're going to need and do what you need to do. But you got to remember, you're picking up a product that started all the way back in 1963, and their fans are still around. And you have to bring them and ease them in. It's not the onus to like what you. It's not in the onus of people to appreciate what you have done to Doctor Who. It is in the onus of you to have the fans appreciate what you've done in Doctor Who. They need to understand and realize it. When you do something as small as taking out a Christmas special, I look for that every year. We made it a big deal ever since RTD and Christmas. Hey, Christmas special, New Year's special. We did that for the end of time. Throw them both in there. Hell, make more content or split it up between the 2 days. But if you're going to change things, don't do it for just the change sake. And be aware that there is a tradition that's already been steeped in there. It's already been built in. And if you're going to change things, make sure that the people that you're going to be bringing along understand what you're doing and that they are appreciated. Even though you're doing the change, you're doing it to benefit the people who are watching, who have been there. Everybody says that this is just a TV show. When it comes to having arguments and spats, yes, it's just a TV show. We shouldn't be killing each other over this. But in the other retrospect, when it comes to the fandom, remember, these are people like myself who've watched hours of this show, who bought merchandise, who invested into this, who have cosplayed the characters. They're putting body and soul in. And if you're not going to do that and bring people in to your world, which is one of the other things I wanted to address, when Jodie took that year off, Chibnall should have had her on a plane coming to the States and everywhere else in the world and showcasing her. So the people who that were on the razor's edge and were like, I don't appreciate, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can appreciate what's going on. Jodie could have been there to interact with fans and say, hey, it's still the same Doctor Who. I'm just taking over. Give me a chance and I'll show you what good Doctor Who is. And I hope you appreciate what we're doing. So this show this show will run on for hundreds of years to come.
Well, even then, I don't think that's just necessarily the onus on Chibnall and Jodie. The onus on Chibnall utilizing Jodie. I think that's BBC's marketing department not using enough things for driving fan engagement between the spot in between.
And Jill Stanek, I think this is her first posting. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to read.
I was trying to say the word hiatus.
Jill says, what do you think if it would take for the show to get canceled? Could they cast that terribly? I don't hate any other choices. Or would it would have to be a showrunner issue? I always find it surprising when people think who the Doctor is could end up the show, but maybe be wrong.
For it to get canceled, honestly, as much as we love this and we think it's art and it's great and it's entertainment, it's a business. It stops making money, it gets canceled. That's the flat out.
I'm going to say this, and this is just from a marketing and aesthetic perspective. If BBC cancels right now, it's going to look bad.
Yes.
Only because you're going to have the naysayers. If this is something you are vesting in,
proof points.
You cancel. You are giving the naysayers all the ammunition you need to say, look what happened. The show got canceled. If this is the direction you're going in and you're opening the floodgates, you better run with this instead of run off. That's all I'm saying on that one. There should be no reason to cancel, especially if you're telling me that the show is right now a success. Then there's no reason to cancel. You can't cheat on me, Mom. Apparently,
I told them to borrow me a TARDIS so I can paint. And they're like,
I hear so much from toxic fans, some on my page, about how Jodie was not good. I go to the next post and ignore. Exactly.
Tom's my boy.
Exactly. What gives a bully What gives a bully ammunition is attention. You give the bully attention, it gives them the power because they know they're hurting you. Don't give them the attention. Just skip the posting and do what I do. I mean, it's the same thing when people criticize our show. I look for what they're saying on the topics. I mean, you know,
I don't even look.
I don't even look.
Please, I don't.
If somebody says something about our show and says in a negative way, this show sucks, you know, I don't want to go on. But if somebody says, hey, Christian, and I mean, I got a Bluetooth microphone just because somebody mentioned, hey, I couldn't hear you too well. I mean, I want the constructive criticism so that we can improve the show. That's what I'm looking for. He wants you to buy him
things is basically what he just said.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody, I bought this one.
That's right.
Buy me stuff. Buy me all the audio stuff.
When it comes to buying things, Dan Holyfield says the BBC, your budget is 2 bottle caps and a 3-day-old cheese sandwich.
That's true.
Well, sir, that was the budget for the 6th Doctor.
And now after people have left.
A good point there. He has a really good point. I actually was just talking about this recently with another person in having to do with screenwriting. Though it's not Doctor Who, we had to talk about budgets. We look at Merlin, BBC Merlin, each episode. For Game of Thrones, you're looking at least $6 million per episode. Merlin had $6 million, period. I mean, that's a big difference with BBC. Big difference.
And now that people are bailing out on the licensing fee, there's not even a bottle cap left. Yeah. So they're not getting a bottle cap. They won't cancel it again. They never officially did in the first place.
And it's
Let it go.
They put it on hold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Folks, we're getting kicked out by Wizard World. Let's go.
Yeah.
We'll finish up the chats. Christopher, having watched since 1960, I embrace change. It's in Doctor Who's DNA. Yeah.
It is.
Actually,
That's a great comment to go out on.
That's a perfect comment to go on. I'll just throw this out quickly, folks. Next weekend, we're busy. MegaCon Orlando. Get your tickets over at MegaCon Orlando. You can just go
August 12th through 15th. 12th. So next weekend, not this coming one.
Not this one. It's the one after.
It's the one after. Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind. If you are in the Orlando or Central Florida area, or just in the Florida area, please go ahead. We'll be having panels. We'll have our booth out there, and we will be geeking out Doctor Who all MegaCon weekend long. So we'll get more information. I'm going to try to have a Who New News by next week. So thank you, Carl. And does anybody have any final things before we wrap it up?
Does anybody else want a full screen so they can shout?
Yeah. Does anybody
else want anything?
Who wants to give?
Everybody,
hey, Steve.
Stay safe.
Thank you, Steve.
Shout.
Shout. No, you needed to yell something. Look, I just yelled something. Oh my God.
Here we go. Yell something.
I don't yell, honey. I don't yell.
I know. She got that's what I meant.
Sorry, I'm trying to do stuff and my mouse is just being an idiot.
Okay, so what Chris said, we've been watching forever. We're going to be fans because it's indelible to who we are. And it's not going to change. We may not love all of it, and I didn't love all of it. 50-something years. You think I loved it all? The answer is no.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just remember that. I did not, and I'm still here. And I will continue to be here. If you can connect to someone like me, then it's relative. It's relevant, and it's important, and it's an essential piece of art. I'm just saying that because I'm not the typical person you'd expect it to connect to. But yet I have been for my whole life. Mm-hmm. So that's what I wanted to say. That's my
We don't have to go home because we're already home, but we can't stay here. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. From Kevo, Melanie, Mackenzie, and Nisha, and myself, thank you for joining us. Please stay safe out there, and please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and become part of the legend. Thank you, folks, and please, again, stay safe because we want to continue to always have you become part of the universe.
I can't do it, Melanie. Yes.
No, you got it.
Yeah, there's this way, and then there's this way. I do this way. So I go,
I think
okay, I got to hit that button.
Will you end this thing?
Yeah.